The Killing Fields is a 1984 movie starring Sam Waterston and Hung Ngo, and tells the story of Sydney Schanberg and Dith Pran, two reporters who were stuck in Cambodia as their country began to unravel in 1973. The movie is a magnificent 2.5-hour punch in the guts, and every time I've watched it, the final scene always brings a lump to my throat. Now, a little warning here, I am about to cover what would be considered spoilers for this movie, so if you haven't actually seen it, then be warned that there are some spoilers ahead. Now, if you have seen the movie, you know that in the final few moments of it, they explain that Schanberg and Pran are in fact real people. Schanberg worked at the New York Times and wrote an account of his time in Cambodia called The Death and Life of Dith Pran. In the piece, he chronicled his relationship with Pran, the Cambodian Civil War, the fall of the capital, the retreat to the embassy, Pran's imprisonment, and the pair's reunion in 1979. That article was turned into a book, which in turn became a screenplay, which became the movie that we have now. All those key moments from the article appear in the movie. And the film, for the most part, is quite faithful to the source material and what happened in real life. In general, the broad strokes are accurate, but some of the finer details aren't, mostly for dramatic or storytelling purposes. For example, in the movie, it looks like Pran is one of the last Cambodians to leave the French embassy. In reality, he left in a group of around about 20 fellow countrymen. His reason for this was because he knew that the longer he stayed in the embassy, the more trouble he'd get into for his close relationship with those foreign reporters. Also, while the irrigation fields that on screen Pran is shown to be working in were indeed accurate, the real Pran worked in rice paddies harvesting crops, fishing with hand nets, and cooking. This was still hard labour though, under the regime, and he worked daily from 4 a.m. to 6 p.m. As I said, while not to be taken as historical fact, the movie is very accurate when it comes to what transpired in real life, both in the country of Cambodia and to Schanberg and Pran. So where is everyone now? Well, while Sam Waterston is now 83 years old and most well known for his role as Jack McCoy in the long-running TV series Law and Order, the story of Hung Ngo takes a very different and tragic path. The Killing Fields was Ngo's first acting role. Before the war, he was a doctor specialising in gynecology and obstetrics. During the war, he was imprisoned 3 times, and tragically, it was in the camps that his wife died in childbirth. Despite being a doctor, when his wife needed a caesarean, he was unable to do anything about it without being exposed as one of the Khmer Rouge's target intellectuals. His wife, Mi Hoi, and the child both died. Ngo won an Oscar for his performance in The Killing Fields and appeared in a few other movies in the ensuing years. On the 25th of February 1996, though, he was shot dead in his home in Los Angeles by a street gang. Theories on motivation for his murder range from it being a bungled robbery through to it being politically motivated by people still loyal to the Khmer Rouge. Whatever the reason, it was a tragic end to a roller coaster of a life. Sydney Schanberg won a Pulitzer Prize for his reporting on Cambodia and continued to work at the New York Times until 1985. He held a number of positions after that at well-known publications such as Newsday and The Village Voice. He passed away in July 2016 at the age of 82. Dith Pran, as we know, survived the Killing Fields and emigrated to America, where he commenced work with Schanberg at the New York Times, and while there he worked as a photojournalist. He founded the Dith Pran Holocaust Awareness Project to campaign for recognition for genocide victims, at which he held the role of president. He passed away in March 2008 at the age of 65. So in summary, not only is The Killing Fields an excellent film, it's also very accurate from a historical point of view. It's a brilliant film that I highly recommend you check out. Thanks very much for stopping by to check out this video. I do appreciate it. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this movie if you've seen it or if you're familiar with the history behind it. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next one.